Hey there, welcome back. If you're looking to rent in Toronto or the Greater Toronto Area, this video is for you. I'm going to share 7 tips to boost your chances of getting your rental application approved fast and easy. Now, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, hit that bell notification. It doesn't cost you anything, and it supports the channel and allows me to stay in touch with you, providing valuable content to help you along your real estate journey. I get it. Being a tenant can be very stressful. I know this because I was a tenant before. When I got married, I rented. When I was a student, I rented. So I know what you're going through. I know it's stressful to find a place. I know it's even more stressful being worried about whether your landlord's going to be good to you or going to be a jerk. I get it. Also, as a realtor, I bring in a different perspective to this video because I've been coaching and helping hundreds of other tenants find places in Toronto and the GTA. Also, I've been on the other side of the table working with landlords, representing them in the negotiations, so I can help you appreciate how a landlord might look at your application. So with that, let's get into my 7 tips. We've all heard the expression, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That especially applies if you're a renter, if you're a tenant. So what we need to do, number 1 on my list, is get your documentation ready. Now, what do you need? If you are salaried, employed, you're going to need a letter of employment. It's got to be recently dated. Nothing 3-6 months ago or 12 months ago or a year ago. You're going to need to make sure it is recently dated now. You're also going to need 3 recent pay stubs from your employer. Get that ready. Also, you're going to need an Equifax credit report. Equifax, and you can order this online. This credit report needs to be with a score. So make sure you provide that to your realtor. If you're working with one, you're going to need that. You're also going to need some photo ID. What's best is a driver's license or a passport. And if you're working with a realtor, you're going to need to fill out the rental application they provide you. If you are self-employed, what you're going to need to add to this are 2 years of tax returns because you don't have that letter of employment or those pay stubs, so you will need that. In cases when you're an immigrant or new to the country with no credit report, you're going to also need to provide bank statements, recent bank statements to show that you have enough equity, enough funds to support your tenancy. My second important tip is for those who are already tenants. If you're renting and going on to another rental, you need to give notice. So many times I find myself as a realtor getting stuck with this timing issue. If you're renting, you probably know you need to give 2 months minimum notice to your landlord to leave that tenancy after you've completed 1 year. So you've got to give 2 months notice. The challenge arises when you look for rentals because most of the rentals in the market are either empty, they're available right now, so landlords want somebody who can take and occupy them now, or they're available for the coming 1st of the month. So let's say if we were in the 15th of March as an example, what you would find is that a majority of the rentals out there that you're looking at, landlords want somebody that can move into them right now because they're empty, or the 1st of the coming month, which would be April 1st in my example, 2 weeks from then. Given that, it's so important that you give notice well in advance of your search. Now that can make people very uncomfortable because they don't want to give notice until they've found a place, which is understandable. But you can understand the challenge this poses because if you don't want to give your 60 days notice, then you're going to have to accept another reality, which is you're going to have to pay double rent. You're going to have to pay rent for the new property you have to occupy right away or within 2 to 4 weeks from now, and the one you're currently in because you're obligated to pay the last 2 months to your landlord. So get the timing right, give the notice. If your paperwork's good, you've got good credit, you've got good jobs, this should be of no concern whatsoever. Give your notice and begin your search. Probably I'd say the ideal time to begin your search is 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks or 4 to 8 weeks before you need to occupy a place. If you want to save time, save headaches, work with a realtor. And work with a realtor who specializes in renting. Not all of them do. And the reason I'm going to recommend working with a realtor is not just because I am one, but because I know how much time you can save. When you tell a realtor, look, I want to live in Square One, Mississauga. I want to live by Harbourfront, Toronto. And you define the budget, your realtor can schedule appointments, 3 to 5 appointments within one afternoon. Imagine the hours of headache they're saving you with just that. But not only that, they can protect you from fraud. There are people pretending, posing to own properties, posing to be landlords when they're not. They take people's money, their first and last month, and run away and disappear. That can all be avoided when you work with a realtor because everything is secure. When you make a deposit, your first and last month deposit on a rental property, that is held in a trust account. Those funds are not released to the landlord until you've got the keys, so you're protected. A good realtor will make sure the agreements protect your best interests. They'll coach you along on everything you need to do in advance before you get the keys, such as get tenant insurance. Which utilities do you need to put your name on? There are so many advantages of working with a realtor. And probably the best thing of all is it doesn't cost you a single penny. That's right. Working with a realtor costs you nothing. So I'm always surprised when people don't work with realtors, especially if your paperwork is solid. If you got good jobs, good credit, if you're coming in, you should work with a realtor. There's no reason for you to waste your time not doing so. Now, when you do work with a realtor, please don't waste their time. I beg you, don't waste our time. And what I mean by that, be loyal to your realtor. They get paid through the landlord, but they only get paid when they help you. So don't court 2, 3, 5 agents and run them around like you have no respect for people's time. Please don't do that. Every realtor has a family to feed. It's really important to be respectful. And of course, you need someone that does the work for you. So as long as they're doing that for you, work with them. If they're not, then have a conversation and move on. So when should you not work with a realtor? I'd say if you have some difficult situation that you've gone through, maybe your credit's not very strong, or maybe very low. Again, you could talk to a realtor about that. But I would say there may be certain circumstances that maybe you went through a bankruptcy and you've got to explain yourself. Maybe you need to have a personal one-on-one conversation with the owner directly. Then maybe those cases, you may want to go it alone. But in 99% of the cases, I'd say it's best to work with a realtor to get the best professional service you deserve. Another really important tip to help you along is take action. Once you find a property, submit an application. Don't waste a moment because it can be really heartbreaking, disappointing to find a place you like and lose it to someone else because you decided not to take action for a day. You decide to go do something else without submitting that application and you've lost out on that opportunity. Now you've got to start all over again and look for another place. It can be really heartbreaking. So act quickly, move fast, know what you want, know where you want it, work with your realtor, define the parameters, define the budget, and then pull that trigger. Now you heard me mention credit reports. They are absolutely essential. Your credit score, your credit report is pretty much your report card on how well you pay your bills. And landlords use that religiously, I'd say. They rely on it to know that you as a tenant are going to be reliable in making your rental payments. So it's very important to keep that credit score high. So I advise you pay your bills on time. And if your credit score is not high, work on improving it. Call the credit bureau for tips. pretty much manage that to improve it, pay any outstanding bills you may have, outstanding debts to improve that score. Ideally, if you have a score of 700 or above, you're golden. Yet you can still manage with 650 plus. There's still hope if you're in the 600s, or if you're lower, like I said, you can work through it. You may have to address the issue if you do have a very low credit score. And what I mean by that is explain to the realtor who's trying to help you, or explain directly to the landlord what happened with your credit. What were the issues? What are you doing to improve it? So you're transparent about it, because it will affect your chances of getting your rental application approved. Another essential tip is make a good impression. Dress the part of a good tenant, because you are one. So dress well, dress to impress. It's like going to a job interview in a way. You've got to look the part. You've got to look as you are. And so in case you not only make an impression on your realtor, but your landlord, if you happen to run into them during the viewings, it's important. Often nowadays, owners will ask for a face-to-face meeting before they accept your application, or it might be on Zoom. So it's really important to represent yourself in the best light possible. I've even worked with landlords that have tried to meet the tenants, even go so far, I know it sounds invasive, yet even go so far as checking, like walking them to their car to see how well they take care of their car, their vehicle. Do they keep it clean? All these things make an impression. So I just say is go out there, treat it like a job interview, and make that best first impression you possibly could. Now, my last tip is, given how competitive it is in the Toronto and the Greater Toronto real estate market, one of my tips is sweeten the deal. If you can afford to offer an extra months of rent, voluntarily do so. If there's anything you can do to make your rental application stand out better, do it. Be a little flexible in terms of the move-in dates if that works out better for the landlord. Absolutely don't negotiate on rent unless you need to. I know some of the time people have the mindset that they need to get $25 off or $50 off. Frankly, if the rent is within the fair market value, don't bother negotiating. Now, that's definitely applies when you have a competitive rental market, which is often the case in the Toronto GTA. Now, if a property's been sitting for a long while and we sense that the landlord could be desperate, of course, as a realtor, I will suggest to negotiate on the rent, see if we can get you a good deal, but don't get hung up on that, because ultimately what's most important is finding the place that's best for you within your budget, and like I said, which falls within fair market value. And there you have it. These are my 7 tips to definitely increase your chances of getting your rental application approved fast and easy. If you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them below. Happy to answer them. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Hit that bell notification. Let's stay in touch, and wishing you all the best on your journey to find the perfect home for you.